Hi, I'm Kurt from Sunnyside. We specialise in clear plastic roofing and we've been doing this for over 50 years. Well, not me, obviously. This video will help you choose what type of clear roofing you want depending on your style and budget. If you enjoy this video, please like it and don't forget to subscribe for more DIY tips and videos. So, you want a clear roof over your deck or pergola. Are you having trouble deciding on which type of material and structure to go for? We hear you. There are so many different options out there these days, from cheap PVC to top-end glass and all the options in between. This video is designed to help you navigate those options. There are a few considerations you'll want to think about first. Once you've decided on what's important to you, it should be a lot easier to narrow down those translucent roofing options. So here's a quick list of considerations you'll need to be thinking about before you go ahead and choose your roofing. Firstly, what's your budget? That's often the biggest consideration for people. Secondly, what sort of look or style or structure do you want to go for? How do you want it to look? How much light do you want through it? How much slope or fall will you have on the roof? How easy is it to install? Which accessories will you need? Will you need consent or not? What about cleaning and access to the roof? How easy is that going to be? You'll need to think about flexibility, movement and noise of the sheets. There's wind, coastal and snow zone considerations. There's condensation to think about. What do you do with the rain runoff? What about flashing and sealing the roof? And you'll need to think about future-proofing your project. We'll talk about each of these considerations in depth later in the video. There's quite a bit of information here, so we also have a handy table on our website to show you each of the different products and how they compare or rate against each of these considerations. I'll show you this table now and go through each of the options on there. But for a closer look, I suggest you visit our website, which is sunnyside.co.nz. The prices on there are correct as of July 2024, but depending on when you're watching this video, they may have changed somewhat. The prices on here are in New Zealand dollars. So let's talk about each individual product. I'm going to be starting from the cheapest and moving up to the most expensive products. So the absolute cheapest product you can get on the market today for translucent roofing is PVC. Generally, this is only used for temporary structures, as the sheets tend to last no longer than sort of 3 or 4 years. They don't have that good UV protection, so they will start to break down and go brittle. They range from about $13 per square meter. They're very easy to install. You don't require many accessories. They don't look the best, but they do serve a purpose at a price point. The next product is entry-level polycarbonate roofing. This is generally corrugated and can come in a few different colors. They usually have about a 10-year warranty, so they last quite well. They're easy to install, and this is the most commonly used product for translucent roofing. They range from about $26 to $28 per square meter. They look a lot better than the PVC. They last a lot longer, and you'll see this all over the place installed on various structures. The next product is a higher quality polycarbonate. So there's a few options here, and they range up to a 30-year warranty, so a lot longer than the 10-year warranty. The price is $36 to $61 per square meter. They look similar to the 10-year product, but they also have quite a few more profiles and colors available. So there's a few options here in terms of what you want the product to look like, whether it's slightly flat, whether it's a ribbed product, whether it's corrugated. You'll find it in the more expensive polycarbonate products. Moving on to the polycarbonate Twinwall. Now this is a double-walled polycarbonate, and that means it's going to reduce condensation, so it effectively works like double glazing. On all the other products you'll get a little bit of condensation on it because they are single-walled products like a single glazed window. This one will reduce it. It has a 15-year warranty. Because it's flat, it's It's quite a lot easier to keep clean. You can just wipe it down rather than getting into the corrugations and joins. It is a little bit more complicated to install, and you require quite a few different accessories to flash and cap off the open flutes, as well as joiners to actually join the sheets together. It ranges from about $39 to $51 per square meter. It is a good looking product. Being flat, some people prefer that, although it still does have the flutes through it, so they distort the view through it somewhat, so it's not completely clear through it. Now the next product is fiberglass roofing. So this is industrial acrylic roofing with fiberglass through it. So it's not completely clear, it's actually mostly opaque. You do get a bit of light through it. This is more commonly used in commercial and industrial applications. It's a very, very strong product. It's not very flexible. It lasts a long time. Generally it's got a 15 to 30 year warranty, which is why they use it on commercial buildings. You don't need to get up there as often to replace it. But because you can't really see through it and it doesn't look as good as a clear profiled product, it's generally not used on residential applications. So this is around $64 a square meter. The next product is thicker polycarbonate with a large flat area and a ridge on each edge. Now this is one of my favorite products, and I think one of the most underrated clear roofing products, especially because of its looks and its price point. So it's got a nice flat area. The way it joins is you just overlap each sheet onto the next one, so it's actually very easy to install, as easy as Corrugate or another profiled roofing product, but because of the large flat area it looks a lot better than Corrugate. The polycarbonate is 2 millimeters thick, so quite a lot thicker than the profiled or corrugated roofing, which is 0.8 millimeters thick. You still require purlins for it to sit on because it is slightly flexible. So you'll have rafters supporting the purlins going that way, and the sheet will be running this way. It's a great looking product. I think it's a great balance between looks and price. It looks flat, you've got these large flat clear areas, but it's not too expensive. This generally comes in at around $71 per square meter. It's quite easy to clean, being flat. Again, you just need to wipe down the flat surface, and it comes in a few different colors. The next product is solid flat acrylic or polycarbonate. Now this is the closest product you're going to get to glass without actually being glass. So it's still a plastic product. Generally you'll have about a 6 millimeter thick sheet, and this can span rafters around 600 wide. So you don't need any purlins or any support in the middle, you just need rafters down the edges, and then you need a joiner on top of those rafters. So you will get completely flat clear runs. It's a great looking product and is the most expensive clear roofing product you can go for without going for glass. So this ranges from about $109 to $240 a square meter for the sheets themselves. You also need the glazing bars, which range from about $74 to $147 per square meter. So in total you're looking at about $200 to $400 per square meter, depending on which option you go for. It is a really, really good looking product. Again, easy to keep clean, being flat. You don't get any sediment in the joins because it's an enclosed joiner. These have up to a 30-year warranty. The final clear roofing product you might be considering is clear glass. Now again, this is a completely flat product. You need glazing beams to install it. It's easy to keep clean, but because it is glass, it's quite difficult to install, and it's not usually a DIY product. The biggest thing with glass is, well, the glass itself might not be that expensive. You need the engineering, design and consent fees on top of that, and that can add up really, really quickly. So often the glass itself might be between $200 and $400 a square meter, but the engineering and design fees are thousands of dollars. So it's not that commonly used on residential applications. You'll see it more on commercial buildings. Some people use it on their houses, but generally just because of the cost, people will be using some sort of plastic translucent roofing product. Glass, of course, does last for a long, long time. As long as it doesn't have any impacts on it, it'll generally be there for decades. So hopefully that's given you a good overview of all the products out there in terms of cost and a few considerations for them. Now let's talk about those considerations I mentioned before in more detail. So the first thing we'll talk about is your budget. Knowing how much you want to spend overall can help you quickly narrow down which product you want to go for. Yes, of course everyone would like to go for glass, but often that's just not realistic in the budget. Now if you look back on our guide, you'll see the rough per square meter price of all our products and the accessories required. This doesn't include the cost of the structure if it's not already there, so you'll need to factor that in as well. Think about how long you're going to be in the property for. Are you only there for a short time, or will you be there for the foreseeable future? Another thing to consider is installation cost. If you can't install it yourself, you'll need to get an installer, and often that can easily double the price of the project. The second consideration is the look, style and structure that you want to go for. So what is it going to actually look like? This is also one of the top considerations behind budget. Often it depends on what it's going to be used for. If it's a social outdoor space that's at the front of your house, you probably want it looking quite nice. If it's simply a storage area at the back, it doesn't matter so much. In general, the flatter products such as Custom Glaze or the acrylic or flat polycarbonate roofing look the nicest, and they require a more minimal structure than the corrugated. So the corrugated and the other profiled sheets need more purlins and support structure, so you'll just have more timber up there. Sometimes people want to match the roof of their house. For example, if it's corrugated, they will also want to go for a corrugated clear roofing product. This can be a consideration, but also think about what looks best for the clear roofing as a standalone structure. Often you won't ever be looking at the two roofs at the same time, especially if you're underneath it, you simply can't see the house roof. So often a different style is fine. Another consideration is how much light and heat you want through. So all our products have 3 to 4 different color options. This gives you some flexibility with how much light you can let through the sheets, from completely clear to tinted to a completely opaque type of frosted sheet which still lets light through but blocks some heat. Think about where the windows of the house are and if the roof will block any light coming into those. The other thing to think about is how much light will come through the sides of the structure, so it's not only light coming through the top, but if the sides are open you'll still get a lot of light spilling through. Another consideration is how much slope or fall you'll have on the roof. In many cases, there is minimal pitch on the structure, often around 5 degrees. If possible, you want as much fall as you can. This will help with water runoff, but it will also help with sediment being washed off by the rain. All of our products require at least 5 degrees, but the more the better. Another consideration is how easy it is to install. In general, the cheaper the product is, the easier it is to install. The entry-level corrugated polycarbonate has been around for years, so almost every builder or DIYer will have used it at some stage. As you get up to the Twinwall and the flat acrylic and polycarbonate roofing, more care and expertise is required. It can still be a DIY product, but there are a few more things to think about. Another consideration is the type of accessories that you need. So again, the cheaper products don't need so many accessories, often just screws and maybe some noise stop tape. The flat acrylic or polycarbonate also doesn't require a lot, mainly the glazing and joining bars. The Twinwall or the multi-wall product requires the most accessories just due to its double-walled nature and requiring the flutes to be flashed off. Another consideration is whether you need building or resource consent from your local council. This really depends on the size, the height and the location of the structure in reference to boundaries and other buildings. We're unable to advise on any consent questions, but you can check with your local council as to what's allowed or what needs to be consented. Many council websites now have an online tool to show you whether you need consent or not. Bear in mind that glass will always need consent, and not only consent, it will generally need an engineer to certify the structure as well. Another big consideration is cleaning and access to the roof. So being able to see through the roof and let light through is great, but it does mean that you see all the dirt and sediment landing on the roof straight away. All types of clear roofing will require regular cleaning and maintenance. So think about how you're going to access the top of the roof once it's up. Generally, you can't walk on any clear roofing product. So if you do need to get up there, what you can do is put a drop cloth down first and then put some walk boards on top of that. And you want to make sure those walk boards are sitting on top of a solid structure, not just on the middle of the roof. So that means sitting on some rafters, sitting on some purlins, sitting on the glazing bars, spreading the load enough so that you're not putting pressure on any one particular point on the roof. The profiled products such as the Corrugated are very, very flexible, so if you stepped on that directly it would just buckle it. When you are cleaning, take care not to scratch the roof. All the clear roofing products aside from glass are generally pretty easy to scratch, so you want to be using a soft cloth with soapy water. The flatter the roof, the easier it is to clean and also get access to, because generally you'll have glazing bars that you can put a walk board on top. With all the profiled roofing options, there will be an overlap, which means sediment can sometimes get under that overlap and look unsightly, so that's a little bit harder to clean. Another consideration is flexibility and movement of the sheets. So all translucent roofing apart from glass will expand slightly and contract slightly when it gets warmer and colder. This is normal and the installation system allows for it, but expansion gaps must be left to allow for that movement. You can use noise stop tape to stop any noise from especially corrugated sheets creaking across the roof slightly as they expand and contract. Generally you'll get more noise out of the profiled roofing on timber purlins. You won't get as much noise or any noise out of the pure flat structures with the glazing bars. Another consideration is wind, coastal and snow zones. So the thicker flat sheets tend to handle strong winds better than the profiled sheets. However, for the corrugated sheets you can put the purlins closer together and simply use more screws to hold it down if you're in a very high wind zone. Snow has a different set of considerations. You'll need a much stronger structure with support beams closer together and a steeper pitch. So with snow, it's not just about the strength of the roof, whether that can hold the snow load, but it's also the structure itself, whether that is strong enough to hold a snow load on top of the entire roof. Another consideration is condensation. So all single skinned roofing products are effectively like a single glazed window. So this means that if it gets hot under the roof and it's cooler above it, you'll get condensation forming on the underside of the sheets. And what tends to happen on the corrugated sheets especially, it'll run down until it hits one of those purlins and then it'll drip. So you'll get these drip lines along the floor. You'll get more condensation if there's not much airflow in the structure. If there is a lot of airflow and it's keeping the temperature below the sheets the same as above, then you'll get less condensation. Just remember, Twinwall, the double walled product, will reduce condensation. It effectively works like a double glazed window. Another consideration is what you do with rain runoff. So you will need to control this. That's something that's often forgotten until the next time it rains. A medium to large roof can collect quite a bit of rain, so you don't want that just running off the edge into your garden or driveway. It'll create mold or moss. For the simpler corrugated products, it may just be a case of putting spouting at the low end. For the higher end flat products, often people will build that sloping back towards a house. So instead of sloping away from the house, it's slightly higher at the outer end, and then that can run off into the house gutter itself. That can look quite smart and it really opens the outdoor space up. Just make sure that your house gutters or spouting can handle the extra volume of water. Another consideration is flashing and sealing the roof. If you're connecting your clear roof to your house, which people often are, or if you're connecting it to another structure, you'll need to think about flashings. Often you can just use standard metal flashings available from most hardware stores, or you may need to get a custom one made up from a roofing company. Corrugated roofs are harder to flash, but you can usually get a flashing with a soft edge that bends down into the corrugations. Now, we don't recommend using any silicone or sealant on any of the clear roof, as it will eventually work free simply due to the expansion and contraction of the sheet. And some silicone can actually adversely affect polycarbonate roofing. It will start to break it down. The last consideration is future proofing. So you want to make sure that anything you put up won't limit what you can do in the future. For example, if you want to add more roofing, is the style that you've chosen the one you want to continue using? And do you have the budget to continue doing that? Also think about where the structure is going. Will it block any further developments you have in mind? Do you need to leave vehicle access to a certain part of your property that you don't want to block off with a pergola or structure? So these are all the considerations you need to be thinking about when planning and deciding on what type of clear roof you're going to use. I really hope this video has been helpful to you. For more information, you can visit our website, sunnyside.co.nz. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to help other people find it. All the best with your outdoor roofing project.